too. During the heat of the game, it's clear he's a champ when all else disappears. Rally the team with a wink and a cheer. He's the leader that everyone fears. Quickly, it's a real heater. Watch my friend, he's a locker room leader. In the chaos, he's the center, turning us into believers.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. It is Sunday night. It is 7 p.m. And once again, the Turnbuckle Affiliation Program wants to bring you the Locker Room Breakdown, your review and preview of the past week from Raw and SmackDown as we look forward to next week and what could happen there. We had a very, very big week. The week to kick off the summer of punk, as it were. And I got to be honest with you, for me, it's just the timing for me on all of this was not right. I was not a huge fan of it, and I don't have anything against CM Punk in this situation, ladies and gentlemen. But for me, it's just the timing wasn't right. So let's get right into it. Monday Night Raw, ladies and gentlemen, was supposed to be main evented by Sami Zayn defending his undisputed WWE Championship from SmackDown, no less. The undisputed WWE Championship, Sami Zayn, set to defend against Cody Rhodes. Again, I did not like this because it's the SmackDown title. We knew it was made because Adam Pearce was in charge the previous week of both shows, while Nick Aldis was under investigation for his actions with Gunther following Night of Champions. And we will get into that because that is absolutely huge and is going to play a huge role in the upcoming week. So, we get to Raw. Raw comes to us from the beautiful city of Chicago, Illinois. So we're all anticipating, we're all expecting the return of CM Punk as it is. But we get Cody and Sami right off the hop in a backstage area. And Sami, before Cody can get a word in, says, "It's your time, isn't it? You've got to get this back, don't you, to be the golden boy?" Well, guess what? It's not happening. And Sami letting his ego really run it. And, you know, he and Cody are supposed to be friends. But Sami has really thrown that under the bus of late, even though he was told by Cody to be a little bit more selfish. Cody, to his credit, came out and said, "Actually, I just wanted to come out here, wish you good luck, and say I will see you out there, champ." Cody was then brutally attacked by Gunther in the back. And we weren't sure. We were left not knowing what is going to happen with Cody Rhodes. This played out through the entire show, but that was what really jump-started Monday Night Raw. We open the show in the ring. Seth Rollins makes his way out to cut his promo about his match with Roman Reigns in the main event of SummerSlam. And I got to be honest, I have a feeling that this should main event night 2, but we will get into that a little bit later on. And he really he spit some truth, saying everything that everybody else has said. Roman was the chosen one. Roman's always been protected, whether it was in the Shield, whether it's with the Bloodline, Paul Heyman, Roman is protected. And it didn't matter whether Roman could wrestle, could get a fight, even when Roman was having a hard time getting over and nobody wanted him there. He was protected because he had the backing of management. Seth went on to proclaim that Roman needed to beat him at SummerSlam and prove that he is not a fake. Prove that he can do this on his own. Now, we have seen Roman have these matches, come in, do it on his own. But are we going to get that at SummerSlam? Or does this become, again, the Bloodline targeting Seth Rollins? Does Seth Rollins have somebody else in mind to step up and protect him if the Bloodline does that? Rollins also admitted that he needs this win just as much to say that, guess what? Being the workhorse, doing the work shows greatness just as much. It's the hard work, the dedication. He even referenced the Roman's words from a few years ago. I work half as much as you do, and I make 10 times as much. However, before he finished and wrapped up and was able to exit the ring, Seth Rollins was interrupted by L.A. Knight. Yeah. We know that Seth and L.A. have history. And that goes back to the days of Seth leading the Vision. LA, yes, pinned or beat Seth Rollins on Saturday night's main event, the night that Seth hurt his knee before SummerSlam a year ago. We've seen them have some backstage confrontations with LA saying, no, I'm still not going to help you. LA Knight still trying to do that lone wolf thing. But LA Knight came out and referenced the Seth Rollins Roman Reigns promo battle from the week before with the brother this, brother that. Let's go get haircuts, brother. Let's have this match, brother. We need to have this match. And called it the same old, same old. And really, he's not wrong. LA Knight was not wrong in this, folks. I mean, we knew that it was building to this, but I'm sure we're also all extremely tired of Roman Reigns versus Seth Rollins. Even though we don't get it on an annual basis, we're getting it every 2 to 3 years now, as opposed to the annual, even every 5 years. I'm okay with the difference in timing, as long as this doesn't get dragged out and dragged on. LA Knight even brought up the fact that both of them lost in the first round of the King of the Ring. But LA Knight wasn't there to proclaim nostalgia, which is exactly what Seth Rollins did. It was the nostalgia when he challenged Roman Reigns for the title. Seth rebutted, saying, you know what? I don't like you. But I will give you a title shot after I beat Roman Reigns at SummerSlam. You can be first up. At this point, Seth Rollins leaves the ring, and Jimmy Uso comes in and hits a super kick on LA Knight to lay him out, leave him laying in the ring. And again, this is Jimmy Uso taking exception and going into business for himself against the orders of the, not necessarily against the orders of the tribal chief or against the bloodline, but maybe this is Jimmy trying to no longer be that bridge between the bloodline and the rest of the locker room. And I am okay with this idea. And we will see and hear more from Jimmy a little bit later on in the week. We go backstage. And there is Nick Aldis, the GM from SmackDown, who is on administrative leave because of what happened after Night of Champions. And he's there to confront Gunther over what he did to Cody, but he gets back down, pushed out of the way, not physically, but pushed out of the way by Adam Pearce. Mr. Parrish, great to see you. Thank you for stopping in as always, brother. Pleasure to have you. And Pearce warns him, don't get yourself permanently banned. That's not what you want. Yes, Mr. Parrish, it is just a few days away. I am really looking forward to seeing you. Cannot wait, brother. So now we go to our opening match of the night. And it's a tag team championship rematch from London, with the Street Profits defending their tag team championships against the Visions, Austin Theory, and Braun Breaker. You know, we talk about transitions and transitional champions, and we're going to get into that again in just a little bit. You got to feel for the Street Profits in this situation, ladies and gentlemen. This is a tag team who has done anything and everything, and I'm hoping that this wasn't a token tag team title run that they got, because they deserve more. They deserve better, and they have been held back. But we get this rematch. We weren't going to necessarily get the interference that we got in London from Seth Rollins, from Joe Hendry. But what would we get out of this? Before the match, Paul Heyman approached the Vision and told them, come back with something worthy of your wise man. Calling himself the wise man again and not the Oracle. Is this a little bit of a foreshadow? Or don't come back to me at all. We'd seen this the previous week when Austin Theory came out after we'd seen Paul Heyman return with Brock Lesnar and said, I didn't even know you were here. You don't answer your phone? So it's really, really interesting to see what they're doing with Paul Heyman and the Vision. Are there bigger things planned? Are there other things planned for the Vision? Is the Vision still going to exist? We know that they have been marred by injury over the past year and a half. So the Vision controlled the match as a good heel team is supposed to do. They cut off the ring. They used their half of the ring. Angelo Dawkins makes the hot tag to Montez Ford, who comes in, picks up the pieces. Again, we see Logan Paul sliding brass knuckles into the ring to Braun Breaker. But those got intercepted. Braun Breaker could not take advantage of them. Angelo Dawkins in the ring when all of a sudden somebody sneaks in from behind. Low blows Angelo Dawkins. And Austin Theory covers him, gets the pickup, or picks up the win. The Vision regain the tag team titles. Who came in to deliver that low blow, folks? Maxine Dupree, which we had always wondered what was going on with them. We had seen over the last few months several conversations between her and Theory in the backstage area. We saw her leave one night with the Vision to go out for steaks. We had seen a little bit of a conflicted Theory the previous week when he had said, maybe this isn't working after what you said to Chad. Leaving Maxine a little bit upset, a little bit distraught. And to get that, yes, I've said we need to get a heel Maxine. We haven't seen that heel Maxine since she was Sophia Cromwell in NXT, and she did that role beautifully. I am very intrigued to see what she does here with Theory, with Breaker, and with the Vision. Again, we go backstage and we go to the trainer's room as he is looking over Cody, and makes the statement that he will not and cannot clear Cody for the main event. So what does that mean for our main event, which was, again, supposed to be for the undisputed WWE Championship from SmackDown? Well, again, we will wait and we will get that answer in just a little while. We then move on to the Women's Intercontinental Championship match. Sol Ruca versus Raquel Rodriguez. And I'm sure, because again, I haven't been available to do things like the Raw Patrol. I've been doing family obligations the past week and a little bit. You will not see me other than tonight until next Sunday. But we get this match, and I know I was hoping for Raquel to pick up the win. Again, it's that transitional champion, and I don't like it, but I think in this case, it might well have been warranted. But again, before the match, we see Paul Heyman backstage approaching the Vision and congratulating someone on accomplishing something Monday night. And even looked at Theory and said, I wasn't talking to you. I was talking to her. And we see the Vision leaving the building with Otis and Tozawa come running out and watching her leave with them. Does this put the Vision, or the now former Alpha Academy, Alpha Babes, whatever you want to call them, back into the tag team title hunt, or no? But we go back to the ring. Sol Ruca, Raquel Rodriguez, Women's Intercontinental Championship. Sol Ruca catching Raquel off guard a little bit with her unique style of offense. Ladies and gentlemen, Sol Ruca is just a modern day Lita. And I'll give her that so Carl Carafel could be happy. But again, I don't think Soul was ready for the big time, and I don't think Soul is ready for the Intercontinental Championship. She's not making the Intercontinental Championship. It seems to be really making her. However, Raquel was able to, once she regained her faculties, she hit a big clothesline and able to capture the momentum and control of the match. Using her size and power, Raquel dominated. Eventually, Soul was able to start mounting a comeback of her own. Missed the frog splash. Then it's time for the shenanigans. Roxanne Perez comes out, causes a distraction. Liv Morgan shows up, again, causing a distraction. But then, Io Sky. And again, this is that whole, these Judgment Day rivalries run on too long. So Io Sky comes out. She takes out Liv. She takes out Roxanne, distracting Raquel and allowing a soul snatcher from Ms. Ruka to pick up the victory and costing Raquel the title. Is it time, ladies and gentlemen, for Raquel to break out on her own? Is it time for Raquel to say, enough is enough? Or does Raquel maybe go to Adam Pearce and say, look, I'm not here to turn my back on Liv, but maybe move me to SmackDown. Get me out of there. So that way we don't have this situation of one side turning on the other. This is a situation within the Judgment Day that is getting played out far too long, with all three of them really costing each other matches. Maybe it's time for them to move on. I can think of somebody else who could use a tag team partner, Roxanne. But I'm going to get to that again in just a little bit as well. And again, I don't want to see Liv and Io at SummerSlam, though it's going to be a good match. It's just not a match I need or want. I would have loved to see Liv win the Queen of the Ring and say I'm taking SummerSlam off. Then we get a gauntlet announcement from the commentators regarding the Intercontinental Championship for tomorrow, and we will get into that. 7 men in a gauntlet match for tomorrow night on Raw for the number 1 contendership to the Intercontinental Championship. We will see Ethan Page battle Dragon Lee, battle Javon Evans, battle Dominic Mysterio versus Rusev versus Chad Gable and Joe Hendry in a gauntlet match. So it's not a sleek 7-way. But we will get to that when we preview Monday Night Raw for tomorrow. Ladies and gentlemen, I will come right back with a little bit more of the review of Monday Night Raw. But first, please take a look at how you can help yourself, myself, and all of us here at the Turnbuckle Affiliation Program.
The Turnbuckle Affiliation Program is looking for more people. If you have passion level for pro wrestling, sports, video games, or something else, then Turnbuckle Studios is the place to be. If you have ever wanted to pursue content creation and want to join our team, then we would love to have you. Check out turnbucklestudios.org or contact us by email today because your future is now, and we want you to tap in.
And there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. Turnbucklestudios.org is your home for the Turnbuckle Affiliation Program. If you have ever wanted your break in podcasting, content creation, or to help us out behind the scenes, hit the join button, send us your creds via email, tell us how you can help us, how you feel we can help you. We will sit down as a collective and find the right fit. All of that and so much more at turnbucklestudios.org. All right, ladies and gentlemen. 2 weeks ago, we saw Brock Lesnar and Obafemi get into it on Raw, with Brock saying, talk shit, get hit, low-blowing Oba. Oba saying, you know what? You're here, I'm in front of you, you're still a bitch, so let's end this. You and me at SummerSlam. Brock up in the ante by saying, hell in a cell. Which led to Adam Pearce saying, are you sure about this, Oba? And Oba says, the titles are still going to be there after this. So I'm sure. So now we get Paul Heyman coming out to cut a promo on behalf of Paul Heyman, or on behalf of Brock Lesnar, for the Hell in a Cell match. As Paul Heyman finished, Obafemi came out, blocking his exit, saying, no, you're not going anywhere. But Heyman said, look, Oba, you're making a mistake because this is a match that Brock has dominated his entire career. Called Obafemi beatable. Oba had all the rubs starting from the Royal Rumble going into WrestleMania against Brock Lesnar and getting the win. And I think I still believe that was a mistake on the part of WWE. You could have had Brock Lesnar win that match, maybe humble Obafemi a little bit here, because again, I have seen it as Obafemi being hot-shotted, and it's not something I am a big fan of. You could have then had Oba pick up the win at Clash in Italy, but they did it in reverse. Oba called out Brock Lesnar saying, he may not watch the show, but he came out here a week ago referencing what I've said. And that showed a different side. It showed that Brock was a liar. He then told Heyman he was scared and vowed to beat Brock once again inside Hell in a Cell and end this chapter. You know what? We need it. This needs to be the finality to Brock and Oba. Do we get that? Does this become the end of Brock and Oba? I hope so. If it is the time we saw, again, Brock tip his hat to Oba after WrestleMania. We saw Oba tip his hat to Brock to thank him. When we saw Brock take off his boots, off his gloves, leave them in the ring, do we truly get that moment once again at SummerSlam? Or do we wait? Do we get Brock Lesnar to come out and make the announcement whether it's night 2 or do we get him to make the announcement on Raw following SummerSlam that he is officially retiring. I don't know. We don't know what goes through Brock Lesnar's mind. Backstage again, and we get Adam Pearce telling Sami Zayn, who thought, great, I'm getting the night off now because my challenger can't compete. But Adam Pearce said, this is Monday Night Raw. I've made the match. You are still going to defend the title. And of course, the crowd, because it is Chicago, had been chanting CM Punk all night long. We go to again, a stagnant tag team match, not something I really needed or wanted to see here. But it is 4 of the guys who will be competing next week in that 7-man gauntlet match as Chad Gable teamed up with Dragon Lee to take on Ethan Page and Rusev, who seem to have really forged a bond. Now, I like this idea. Again, yes, it reminds me of the Foreign Fanatics, International All-Stars, whatever you want to call them. Not the League of Nations. No, not the League of Nations. But you go back to the days of the Foreign Fanatics and Survivor Series. Again, though, this was not a match I needed. I'm getting really tired of it because this is, again, the same old. You're just putting Chad Gable in place of a Rey Mysterio, in place of a Penta, whoever it is. This was a match that Ethan Page and Rusev did win. Again, nothing to really write home about here in this match. It was there for the sake of being there. Did little to really promote the match other than 4 guys from that 7-man gauntlet were in it. I mean, you didn't get the shenanigans from the other 3, so I'm good with that aspect of it because you don't need that in every match. Does this foreshadow where Page and Rusev are going to be in this gauntlet? You got to wonder if they're going to open the gauntlet or if they're going to be the final 2. You got to wonder where Chad Gable fits into all of this. Once again, we go backstage. Yes, the show was filled with a lot of backstage, and I'm sure we're going to get to a lot of that tomorrow night as well. Jackie Redmond tries to interview Jimmy Uso, asking him about his actions towards LA Knight right off the hop. LA Knight shows up to confront him, and Jacob Fatu lays out LA Knight. This is now really the Usos and Jacob going into business for themselves against LA Knight, Solo Sikoa, and whoever else may be in their way. Not necessarily on orders from the tribal chief. Maybe they're taking the playbook into their own hands. Adam Pearce has been calling everybody, trying to see who will face Sami Zayn. To no avail. We see Nick Aldis again show up behind him saying, look at you. You're trying to make all these calls. You still don't have anybody. I made a phone call. He answered, and he's in the building. Sami Zayn went out to the ring to defend his undisputed WWE Championship against an unknown competitor. Ladies and gentlemen, it's Chicago. It can be only one. And since the night after, for the first time since the night after WrestleMania, it was answered as the familiar refrains of Cult of Personality echoed through the arena. CM Punk. Ladies and gentlemen, it was Chicago. This was anticipated. It was really, really a predictable call. Still a great call nonetheless. But had a great back and forth match between two former Ring of Honor champions. But this is 3 months in the making. Back and forth, counter for counter. Sami Zayn hitting 2 GTSs on Punk. Punk locks in the Anaconda Vice. Punk hits haluva kicks. And then Punk, after hitting his own version of the haluva kick, hits the GTS, picks up the win, and takes the title away from Sami Zayn. Ladies and gentlemen, the timing on this, for me, sucked. I got nothing against CM Punk. I got nothing against him being the champion. He lost the title at WrestleMania, took 3 months off, and on his first night back wins the title for the other brand. Give me a break. This was a slap in the face to Sami Zayn, who deserved a better run, a better opportunity to show what he can do with that championship, instead of not only being a transitional champion, but now he is going to be seen as nothing more than a footnote in the history of the undisputed WWE Championship. Where do we go with Sami Zayn from here? We're going to get into that when we cover SmackDown in just a little bit. But right before we had this match, we did get a video package from Bayley in response to Lyra Valkyria's video package from the week before. And really, why are we going with these two women in a video package back and forth? But Bayley called out Lyra and said, you know what? Meet me in the ring next week, face to face, woman to woman, and we can hash this out there. Really, this is Bayley. I would rather have seen Bayley go out to the ring, make the call out for a face to face right then and there, and just have Lyra not show up in true heel fashion. That would have been a lot bigger, a lot more momentous than having had Lyra on video package the week before to Bayley that night. We also had Dominic Mysterio and JD McDonough threatening to make Danhausen's life a living hell. And we will get to that again in just a little bit as well. But yes, ladies and gentlemen, CM Punk is your new undisputed WWE champion. Like I said, I don't have anything against Punk being the title. It's the timing of it. And the fact that it was right back to The summer of punk has arrived. This was something we saw 15 years ago. It doesn't need to be the summer of punk again. But ladies and gentlemen, we will be right back to preview tomorrow night's Raw. But first, I want you to check out all of our amazing programming here throughout the week.
Turnbuckle Studios and the Turnbuckle Affiliation Program bring you the week of streams. All times are in Eastern Time. Monday night, we are on call as the Raw Patrol is on duty at 8 p.m. Tuesday brings you the flagship show, Turnbuckle Talk, at 8:05 p.m. Wednesday, we play games with the PlayStation Showcase at 8 p.m. Thursdays, let us power your dreams with the Xbox Showcase at 9 p.m. Friday, we invite you to come for a ride with the SmackDown Security Detail at 8 p.m. The weekend brings you Saturday Night Gaming at 8 p.m. On Sunday, be sure to catch the Chris Parrish podcast at 12:15 p.m. And later in the day, the Locker Room presents Rasslin Recap Delivers at 7 p.m. Always be aware that weekend shows can vary in times, as the PLE Patrol and other watch party streams are always a must-see. Be part of the shows and join the chat every day and watch all of the latest episodes on turnbucklestudios.org/shows. And please do not forget to drop a like, follow, and to subscribe to all of our channels, and when the time is right, all you have to do is tap in.
And there you have it once again, ladies and gentlemen. All of our programming for you here at Turnbuckle Studios and the Turnbuckle Affiliation Program. There is something for you each and every day of the week. Check them all out. We want you to meet the team behind those shows. Myself, Chris Best, Bubba Duke, Logan Thompson, Chris Parrish, and the Godfather himself, Carl Carafel. Now, click on our individual links to see our own personal spaces on the site and on the interwebs. Connect with us, get our socials, and watch our latest weekly live episodic programming. All of that and more at turnbucklestudios.org. All right, ladies and gentlemen, I said it, we're going to get a lot of talk tomorrow night again. We get an appearance from Roman Reigns. I think we should have had Roman Reigns last week on Raw in Chicago, especially with Sami Zayn there. You didn't even need to have it in the ring. You could have had an interaction backstage with Roman acknowledging Sami, giving him the credit, saying, congratulations. Now, go out there and keep that title in the family. But yes, we will hear from Roman Reigns tomorrow night. I'm certain he will address Seth Rollins. I wonder if he will address what is going on with LA Knight. I wonder if he's going to address what happened with CM Punk and Sami Zayn. Though I don't see that really happening yet. But yes, we get an appearance from Roman Reigns. We're not going to get him in action. We might get him interrupted by LA Knight. We might get him interrupted by Seth Rollins. It really wouldn't surprise me. We're going to get an appearance from Brock Lesnar. Again, Paul Heyman, great on the mic, but maybe this one needs to be on Brock. Calling out Oba, speaking to Oba himself. Maybe that's what we need from Brock Lesnar. Again, we don't need the interruption. We don't need the physicality between Brock and Oba. I think maybe now it's time that we get a little bit of that power and maybe some head games between Brock and Oba as opposed to the physicality. We've seen the physicality in the lead up to WrestleMania. We saw the physicality in the lead up to Clash in Italy. Let them play head games with each other now. Let the mental game begin. It's time to play chess instead of checkers, boys. based on what we saw this past Monday, we are going to get Io Sky once again going one-on-one with Roxanne Perez. Look, again, this is the Judgment Day sticking up for each other, and I'm going to give them that. This is, again, going to be a situation where the numbers game is going to work against the Judgment Day before it works for them, and I do believe that it will cost Roxanne Perez that match. Is it time for Roxanne to move on from the Judgment Day, find something for herself? Does she go after a Sol Ruca and get that Intercontinental Championship? I've suggested Raquel moving to SmackDown. What about Roxanne moving to SmackDown to challenge for the U.S. Championship and going out on her own? The potential is there. This is, again, though, the Judgment Day and these long-standing rivalries, people they have history with, coming back because there's nothing else for them. There is no one else for them. We have our number one contender Intercontinental Championship Gauntlet match. Ethan Page, Dominic Mysterio, Rusev, Javon Evans, Joe Hendry, Chad Gable, and Dragon Lee. Ethan Page has had a title shot, should be the guy to win, and I think he deserves it. Dominic has never had his rematch for that Intercontinental Championship when he lost it to Penta. Maybe it's time we get Dom that rematch. In fact, maybe you go that route and go to a title for title match. Put the AAA Mega Championship on the line against the Intercontinental Championship. The winner's going to come out a double champion. It would be huge for AAA and Triple Mania. And then you're looking at Penta versus El Grande Americano, which is going to be huge. We know what and I don't know, I just saw a clip this afternoon of Dom telling Grande on Saturday, you know, you watch my back, I'll watch yours against whatever the faction that is attacking them. That way, our match at Triple Mania is safe. Rusev, again, a guy who has been really, for the first year of his return, was marred by poor booking, has kept himself in this picture, and maybe it's time you pull the trigger and put the belt on the big man again. It's time he held gold. This isn't the same Rusev that was presented with the Medal of Bulgaria. This isn't the same Rusev that came to WrestleMania in a tank to take on John Cena. No, maybe it's time to pull the trigger on this Rusev. Javon Evans, where all of this started to get Ethan Page his Intercontinental Championship, all of a sudden being put back in when he's been focused elsewhere. I don't agree with this. I don't think Javon needs or deserves the win in this situation, especially when he can't slow down, and he's probably going to go flying over a barricade into the crowd again and get himself counted out. Joe Hendry. Whether it was injury, visa issues, whatever the case may have been, we just haven't seen enough from him on the main roster, other than him costing the Vision the tag team titles in London, assisting the Street Profits. So I don't think it's Hendry's time. We have to get him established a little bit more on Raw. Chad Gable. This may be where they need to go with this match and for him to win. This might complete that redemption arc storyline of him learning to appreciate AAA, Lucha Libre, and the Mexican culture. this all started with Chad Gable losing to Penta. This started with then Chad Gable going to Dominic Mysterio saying, what can I do to learn about AAA? What can I do to learn about Lucha Libre? Dragon Lee. Again, a guy who deserves a singles run. He does. But again, to get a Lucha Libre match at SummerSlam for the Intercontinental Championship would be fantastic. But again, this is Dragon Lee, who does have a history with Penta from their time throughout wrestling, whether it was AEW, WWE, or elsewhere. But I don't think it's Dragon Lee's time. Dragon Lee is in the same position as a Rey Fenix was, where he deserves a championship run. But again, I just don't think his time is coming in this situation, though I don't really like it. Lastly, we saw the challenge laid out last week from Bayley to Lyra to come and meet her in the ring face to face and hash this out. Again, this should have been done with Bayley coming to the ring instead of both women in video packages over the last 2 weeks. Lyra stay, hide, whatever, like a true heel and not come out for that. But I wonder, ladies and gentlemen, I wonder, do we get this face to face? And is it time? Is it time, ladies and gentlemen, for maybe Lyra to debut a new ally? Somebody who can help her harness that aggression. Somebody who had that aggression and uses that anxiety and all of that in Tatum Paxley. Do you have that face-to-face? Maybe you get a Tatum Paxley to come and attack Bayley from behind, get the beat down. We saw CM Punk return in Chicago, but we are building towards Saturday night's main event this coming Saturday, and we will preview that in just a little bit as well, to then maybe get Tatum and Lyra to take on Bayley and a mystery partner at Madison Square Garden, and that mystery partner is none other than AJ Lee. Or you could go to Bayley and Lyra one-on-one at Saturday night's main event, get the Tatum Paxley interference there, to then have Bayley call on a mystery tag team partner. Once again, it is AJ Lee, and you get that tag team match at SummerSlam. Ladies and gentlemen, there is still a lot of moving parts and a lot to go on here in WWE. We will be right back once again to review SmackDown. So, ladies and gentlemen, now I will ask you to please take a look at our shop.
The Turnbuckle Studios store is open for you 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Get the merch and represent the best from the shows you watch on a weekly basis. Multiple styles to choose from with over 10 products available. Don't get left out and pick up all your favorites today. Find us at turnbucklestudios.org.
Once again, ladies and gentlemen, turnbucklestudios.org is your home for the Turnbuckle Affiliation Program. And we ask that you please check out our shop. It is powered by redbubble.com, and it is 100% safe and secure. Support your favorite shows and your favorite podcasters. Wear what we wear. All of the proceeds come back into our studios to give you a better experience. And when you make that purchase, send us a photo, tag us on the socials, whatever it may be. Show us what you bought. We will give you a shout out live here on air during one or more of our many, many weekly programs. So, SmackDown and the Summer of Punk really kicked off Friday night. And again, the timing on this, just for me, sucks. I don't think that Sami Zayn should have lost the title. I think that potentially a more intriguing storyline would have been Nick Aldis was not in charge of SmackDown on Monday. Why is he the one making the championship match? And maybe they could have stripped Punk and vacated the title because of that, because Nick Aldis had no authority. But we heard from our new undisputed champion to open the show, CM Punk. And he said, thank you, Nick. I've spent the last few months negotiating with Netflix, negotiating with USA and the WWE to come to this brand. And he did say he would give anyone who wants a shot, whether it was Finn Balor. If Sami Zayn wants a rematch, he'll give him one. He's listed Gunther. He suggested Royce Keys, Damian Priest, and even Trick Williams. We'll get to Trick in a bit. Conveniently, though I think by design, he left Cody Rhodes' name out of that list. Maybe because Cody was way too obvious a name to suggest in that position. And I'm okay with that. But we did get Cody coming out, interrupting. Though the exchange was respectful, it was Cody that said, let's do this. Let's put this at SummerSlam. Nick Aldis did turn around and make the match official that it would happen at SummerSlam. Both men shook hands and they walked away. Again, I think that they should have vacated the championship from Punk because Nick Aldis should not have been making a match on Raw when he was on administrative leave. Shouldn't have even been there. And then, all of a sudden, he's back after 1 week of administrative leave in charge of SmackDown. Okay, really a predictable match for SummerSlam. We'll cover that in a couple of weeks when we preview SummerSlam here on the show. We go to Finn Balor and Tama Tonga in our opening match. Two guys who have a lot of history from their time together in Japan. Tama and Tala orchestrated an attack on Finn in the backstage area the previous week, with Tama saying, I spoke to the elders and I am cutting off all ties to my past. This match was a fight and really could have been the match of the night. Of course, we did get interference from Tama Tonga, but it was still not enough. Finn Balor picked up the victory in his first singles match on SmackDown, I believe, since joining the Blue Brand. Funny though, you look, Gunther, Finn Balor, and I can't remember who else, have all jumped. And then CM Punk, of course, wins the title and jumps. Really, all of the guys he battled on Raw have now jumped ship to SmackDown. Okay. On to the long-winded part of the show. And I said we were going to talk about Jimmy Uso. Let's talk Jimmy Uso. He came out, called out Solo. Wasn't Solo who answered, though. It was Royce Keys. Royce, who has history with Jacob Fatu. And he acknowledged how the bloodline family business was starting to affect him. Also said, look, I have been Jacob's boy for 14 years. And family is about loyalty, not necessarily blood. He's been my brother. As this went back and forth, we got to a point where Royce challenged Jimmy to a match. Jimmy, who was dressed wearing black and yellow caution outfit, repping his wife Naomi, said, yeah, Jacob and I are going to do this. Jacob looked at him and said, Royce, please leave the tribal chief's name out of things. But he said, you know what? He looked at Jimmy and said, no. This is you. I'm out. So he wasn't there to get in the way and hinder his friend. Definitely something to establish a little more prominent character and give Royce a good rivalry here early in his WWE career. When it's time, and I do believe that we will see Royce Keys not only in a championship, in a championship picture, whether it's the US Championship or the undisputed WWE title, by this time next year. I'm not going to rush Royce. He's the one guy I think they seem to be doing things right with. This was really a predictable situation. We knew Solo would get involved. We figured Jacob might get involved, even though he had chosen to walk away from the situation. But as Solo showed up and attacked Jimmy, his brother, yes, we did get Jacob coming back out to battle Solo. During Jacob and Solo battling on the outside, Jimmy able to hit an Uso splash and pick up the victory. Oh, no, sorry, with a spear. But yeah, this was not a match that really did a whole lot for either Jimmy or Royce. This was more of that cannon fodder type of match. It was there for the sake of being there. But it was after the match, Jacob actually super kicked his boy Royce Keys. Like, really, there was absolutely no need for it. They were standing there side by side. They had nothing going on. Now you've got Solo, who's been trying to get into Royce's head. R-Truth, who's in Royce's head. Damian Priest, who is only worried about R-Truth. Could you build to Royce, Damian, Solo, Truth, and somebody else coming in together And then that's your group to battle the bloodline, or where do we go from here? I'm also not a fan of the way they are booking Jacob Fatu. This was a guy who came in. He was dominant, one of the first right-hand men for the original layout of the MFT. It was Tamatonga, it was Solo Sikoa, it was Jacob Fatu, and it was Tonga Loa. That was what was doing it. And then after he got excommunicated from that version of the MFT, he was going to war, and he was the one that went to Jimmy and said, "You ready to get in where you fit in?" He was the one taking charge, taking control. Hell, a month ago, we saw Roman Reigns present him with an Ulafala, and now he's sitting there as Jimmy Uso's lackey, standing behind Jimmy Uso, not beside him, not with him, behind. This booking for Jacob Fatu has really, really dropped off. And I don't like it. Jacob needs to be a guy. Let him go solo. Let him go on his own, do his thing, and be Jacob Fatu. Let him be the Samoan werewolf. Backstage, we see another face-to-face with Gunther and Nick Aldis. This has really been playing out since Night of Champions. We saw the physical altercation that had Gunther suspended for a week, and then he shows up on Raw when he's a SmackDown superstar. We saw Nick Aldis on Raw when he's on administrative leave and shouldn't be doing anything. Now, all of a sudden, he was back in charge. But Gunther said, no, I want you to reconsider, and I want you to put me in that match at SummerSlam. And Nick Aldis said he would take it under consideration, though we all know that nothing was actually going to happen in that position. Again, another match for the sake of having a match. This time on the women's side, Alexa Bliss and Jade Cargill. Yes, Charlotte Flair was in the corner of Alexa for this match, but Jade, of course, had B-Fab and Michin. This, again, is something that has just played out way too long. And I know there's only so much you can do with somebody like Tiffany Stratton in this situation. Rhea Ripley is out injured, so we can't get that rematch. But that women's title, as it's pertaining in this situation, needs to be vacated from Rhea Ripley. She is injured. She can't defend it. We haven't seen her since before Night of Champions, really. So what is the point in holding the belt hostage? Yes, Jade picked up the match, but picked up the win, but it was what happened again after the match. And again, we had that beatdown, and we saw them deliberately injure Alexa Bliss. We know that Alexa left with her arm like this after being slammed inside a steel chair. Yes, we know, and we believe that we are heading to a Jade versus Charlotte match at SummerSlam. We need to just get that match made official. Let's get that done here this week. BFAB and Meechin, why haven't they been really put into the women's tag team championship picture? Again, they deserve it. We heard from Fatal Influence. Then we go on to our main event of the night, our main event match. Trick Williams and Carmelo Hayes. Ladies and gentlemen, this match should have been the match of the night. SmackDown really didn't do anything to move the needle. But again, you get Trick Williams, who they don't know who he is. He doesn't know who he is because he's coming out there with SmackDown sitcom dad, Little Yachty. First, we did see him complaining, like, where's my championship? And Yachty told him, look, I went and got you a legacy title. And he just had it covered in white fur. Yippee skippy. Trick Williams, I'm not a fan of his entrance because when he's wearing all white, you can't see him because it's just a bright ball of light. But they don't know what they're doing with Trick. They don't know whether he's a babyface or a heel. The fans want to cheer him, but they're confused as hell. This match should have stolen the show, and it was just felt like a placeholder. We did not get a winner to this match because even though it was a non-title match, had Mello won, he would have earned himself a U.S. title shot. But we got the return, the surprise return of Baron Corbin. As Mello was going to the top rope, Baron Corbin returned, pulled him down, and he laid out both men. He laid out Trick Williams. He laid out Carmelo Hayes. This was really perhaps the biggest needle mover of the night, and it's Baron Corbin. Now, don't get me wrong, because I love Baron Corbin. I love what he was able to do and how he was able to reinvent himself time after time in his previous run. I love what he did as Bishop Dyer on the Indies and in MLW. So, do we get more for Baron Corbin this time around? Who knows, ladies and gentlemen? That remains to be seen. But yeah, not a real needle-moving SmackDown as far as match-wise went. But we had Gunther come out afterwards in the main event segment of the night and say, Nick Aldis, I gave you until the end of tonight to make the decision, put you in. I'm done waiting. You can come out and let me know. Nick Aldis came out and said, yeah, you want CM Punk? You can have him. You want Cody Rhodes? You can have them. You can have them both in the same match at Saturday night's main event when they team up to take on you and your tag team partner, your friend and mine, the last real good guy, Sami Zayn. This set Gunther off. And Gunther again attacked Nick Aldis. Nick Aldis did not push back. Nick Aldis did not fight back. Gunther locked in the sleeper hold, choked him out, put him down. And that was how we left things. Nick Aldis left laying in the ring at the hands of Gunther. Are we going to get Gunther versus Nick Aldis? Gunther deserves to be in the world title picture. I don't like this career killer thing. And I hope that if it is a career killer match, it's just that Nick Aldis cannot wrestle again in WWE. Or you actually have Nick Aldis win and then step down as the GM to start working his way through and get himself maybe to a title match a year from now. But, ladies and gentlemen, that is the SmackDown review. We will be back again in just a moment. Actually, I'm going to tell you right now, there is absolutely nothing to preview for SmackDown this coming week. They haven't released anything yet. But I will be right back here in just a few moments, and we will preview what we know so far for Saturday night's main event.
A Turnbuckle affiliation program is looking for more people. If you have passion level for pro wrestling, sports, videos games, or something else, then Turnbuckle Studios is the place to be. If you have ever wanted to pursue content creation and want to join our team, then we would love to have you. Check out turnbucklestudios.org or contact us by email today because your future is now, and we want you to tap in.
The Turnbuckle Studios store is open for you 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Get the merch and represent the best from the shows you watch on a weekly basis. Multiple styles to choose from with over 10 products available. Don't get left out and pick up all your favorites today. Find us at turnbucklestudios.org.
Turnbuckle Studios and the Turnbuckle Affiliation Program bring you the week of streams. All times are in Eastern Time. Monday night we are on call as the Raw Patrol is on duty at 8 p.m. Tuesday brings you the flagship show, Turnbuckle Talk, at 8:05 p.m. Wednesday we play games with the PlayStation Showcase at 8 p.m. Thursdays let us power your dreams with the Xbox Showcase at 9 p.m. Friday we invite you to come for a ride with the SmackDown Security Detail at 8 p.m. The weekend brings you Saturday Night Gaming at 8 p.m. On Sunday, be sure to catch the Chris Parrish podcast at 12:15 p.m. And later in the day, the Locker Room presents Rasslin Recap delivers at 7 p.m. Always be aware that weekend shows can vary in times, as the PLE Patrol and other watch party streams are always a must-see. Be part of the shows and join the chat every day and watch all of the latest episodes on turnbucklestudios.org/shows. And please do not forget to drop a like, follow, and to subscribe to all of our channels, and when the time is right, all you have to do is tap in.
And ladies and gentlemen, once again, turnbucklestudios.org. Turnbucklestudios.org is your home for the Turnbuckle Affiliation Program. All of the information is there. Hit the join button to tell us how you can help us and how we can help you. Meet the team under the host section, get our socials, and watch our latest weekly live episodic programs. As well, head over to the shop, support your favorite shows and your favorite podcasters. You'll get a shout out live on air when you make a purchase. All of that and more at your home for the Turnbuckle Affiliation Program, turnbucklestudios.org. Ladies and gentlemen, next Saturday night, July 18th, the Mecca of sports entertainment, Madison Square Garden, will host Saturday night's main event. And we have 3 matches that we know of so far. I cannot wait to see what could possibly be announced tomorrow. And I have a feeling that that is going to have to do with Bayley and Lyra Valkyria. We know that Danhausen, fresh off of everything that happened with the NBA champion Knicks and uncursing them during the NBA playoffs seemed to push them to that title. We'll go one-on-one with J.D. McDonough of the Judgment Day. We know that they have been back and forth, the Judgment Day trying to get their monies back from Danhausen. But where does this go? Do the Knicks get involved in some way, shape, or form? Is Jalen Brunson there? We all thought for months that Baron Corbin was the guy under the blanket for who Danhausen is potentially bringing to WWE. Do The Miz and Kit Wilson get involved in their catatonic state after being electrocuted like J.D. McDonough? I do give this victory to Danhausen, though I think J.D. deserves to get a win, especially in as high-profile a match as Saturday night's main event and in the world's most famous arena of Madison Square Garden. But I have to wonder, because we know that somebody else is coming back, somebody who calls New York City home. Could this be where they return Big Cass and Enzo Amore? And I think that that would be absolutely huge. Does that become who Danhausen is bringing in? Even if it's just Big Cass, I think that that would be absolutely incredible and quite the coup for Danhausen and the way to battle the Judgment Day. We just talked about it. Gunther and Sammy versus Punk and Cody. This is going to be your main event, or probably your main event of the night. I think that if you're going to do this, if Gunther and Sammy win, then you need to make that match at SummerSlam a fatal four-way. If Cody and Punk win, obviously it stays one-on-one. But with everything going on between Nick Aldis and Gunther, does Nick Aldis stick his nose in? We know he's got history and a friendship with Cody. Does he get himself involved to cost Gunther and Sammy? There's a lot of moving parts in this match, but I do think that that is exactly what should be done. But give me Cody and Punk to win and keep their match at SummerSlam. Where do we go with Sammy from here? After this, you wonder if Sammy's going to make a jump ship back to Raw. Do we get a potential return of a guy like Kevin Owens to come to Sami Zayn's aid? What I do with Sami Zayn, and I'm going to suggest this. He won the title at Night of Champions in his homeland. Well, we know he is of Syrian background, but he won it in front of his people in Saudi Arabia. I suggest you have Sami Zayn win the Money in the Bank briefcase in October and cash it in at WrestleMania once again in front of his people, his homeland, and win the title. And we get the Women's Tag Team Championships being defended at Saturday night's main event. Another match that could very easily be your main event of the night, as Fatal Influence will take on Paige and Brie Bella Scream Mode. Fatal Influence have been in and around the women's tag team title picture for quite some time. Is it time to end the quote-unquote nostalgia run, folks? Yes. Yes, it is time for Fatal Influence to win those those women's tag team championships. With Fatal Influence winning, I would love to see again those titles get defended in NXT far more than they do. Then you can have Fatal Influence really dominating and showing what they are fully capable of across all brands. I look at Fatal Influence now, and I'm going to go to NXT, and you go to Ren QCC. Ren Sinclair, your Speed Champion. Kendall Gray, your NXT Women's Champion. Now all of a sudden you can have them win the tag team titles? Tell me that's not a money match, folks. Ladies and gentlemen, Fatal Influence to win. Now, I suggested earlier, because I do believe that this face-to-face with Bayley and Lyra tomorrow night will result in something happening for Saturday night's main event. Whether we go to Bayley and Lyra one-on-one there, you get some interference to cost Bayley the match, and then you set up a tag team match for SummerSlam, or you get that attack tomorrow night on Bayley from behind, giving Lyra a new ally. Somebody who can teach her what it's like to live in that world. And then you go to the tag team match at SummerSlam, or at Saturday night's main event, when Bayley needs a tag team partner, and you get AJ Lee returning again. She's a chick from New Jersey at Madison Square Garden, to then go to Bayley and Lyra one-on-one at SummerSlam. Ladies and gentlemen, a lot of moving parts. We had a solid week, though. SmackDown really didn't do a whole lot. I look forward to another exciting week beginning tomorrow night. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for joining me here tonight on the Locker Room Breakdown. And once again, I'd like to remind each and every one of you, the world is better with you in it. From all of us here at Turnbuckle Studios and the Locker Room, good night, good luck, I'm out.
In the locker room, a guy you'll find loves bad hockey, teams can't deny. His best friend is just a hand so true, loyal until his friend goes number two. During the heat of the game, it's clear he's a champ when all else disappears. Rally the team with a wink and a cheer. He's the leader that everyone fears.